Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are talking about the newest horror comedy, Hard Eyes.
What's your favorite scary movie?
And real quick, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up, and without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the film. For several years now, the Hard Eyes killer has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day, going after couples that are unfortunate enough to come across the killer's path. This Valentine's Day, no couple is safe. So Hard Eyes is directed by Josh Ruben, who's also done films like Scare Me, which I really enjoyed, and Werewolves Within, and the film stars Mason Gooding, Olivia Holt, Jordana Brewster, and Devon Sawa. The slasher is arguably my favorite subgenre in the horror genre, and if you guys know me, you know the original Scream is my favorite movie of all time. So when Scream came out in the 90s, we saw sort of a revitalization in the slasher in particular, and after the original film came out, we had all of the sequels, Scream 2, Scream 3, but you also had films like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, Valentine, My Bloody Valentine 3D, years later, Cry Wolf, several films like that, and I feel like we're kind of starting to see that again with the past couple of years where we've had new Scream films coming out. We've had Happy Death Day, a couple sequels there. We've had Thanksgiving come out, and now we have Hard Eyes. And so it's really fun to see that come back into the mainstream again, because we didn't have a lot of slashers for a while there. And with Hard Eyes, it opens up, and the Hard Eyes killer is this well-known serial killer that is known across the country from places like Boston and now in Seattle, that has been terrorizing couples all over the country. And it's interesting because usually with these type of films, a lot of times it's based kind of in one location and that's where everything happens. You don't necessarily know about them all over the country, but you do hear with this film. HEK is pretty well known. And so in this film, you have Allie, who's played by Olivia Holt, and Jay, who's played by Mason Gooding. They run into each other on Valentine's Day and inadvertently get mistaken as a couple by the Hard Eyes killer, and so he targets them amongst other couples on this Valentine's Day. And while this definitely is a slasher, it has those slasher elements in here, I want to make sure that you guys have the right expectations going into the film, because I feel like with the trailers, there is some comedy aspect in there for sure, but I feel like it leans a little bit more into the slasher horror side of things, and this definitely leans very heavily into the rom-com side of things as well. And so I just want to kind of make sure you guys are aware of that. That way you go into it, because I happened to catch a review that was a non-spoiler review before I saw the film, and someone had mentioned that, and I'm glad that I did, because I feel like if I went into the film not knowing that, it might have caught me off guard a little bit. And so you have Olivia Holt, who's one of our leads, who plays Allie, who she isn't really feeling too romantic nowadays with recent events that have happened to her in her life. And so you have her, and then you also have Jay, who's played by Mason Gooding, as the smooth-talking, charming, romantic type. And I thought that he was great here as the co-lead with Holt. He's definitely got that charm and charisma that you look for in a lead, so hopefully we get to see more of that in the future for him. And you also have Jordana Brewster and Devon Sawa, who play sort of a throwback to the goofy cops that you used to see in some of these slasher films, and they lean into it, so you can tell that they were having a lot of fun, and it's always nice to see both of them pop up in these films as well. Now, for most of Hard Eyes, I actually had a really good time with this film. I enjoyed the mixing of two of my favorite genres, and as far as the look and design of the Hard Eyes killer, I thought looked really cool. The design overall was something different. I thought the different weapons that the killer used, how they were used in the film, were really interesting, and the kills overall were pretty solid. And you also had some likable leads in this film, which I think is really important when it comes to these movies, because if you have characters that are there just to be killed, it's like, okay, I just want to see how you guys end up getting killed, and that's pretty much it. And so when you actually care about these characters to a degree, it makes things a little bit more interesting for sure. But that is where I'm going to stop with the positives. There are some negatives that I had with this film, unfortunately, and now we'll go ahead and get into those. Starting with which, this is kind of a problem with a lot of movies today with some of the trailers, that as far as the kills go, if I remember correctly, if not all of them, there's at least a good portion of the kills that you actually see in the trailer. And I only watched, I'm pretty sure, just the one trailer for this. I didn't see multiple different trailers or anything like that. So that is always a little disappointing, especially there's one involving in a van that I thought would have been really cool to see for the first time. But yeah, so that was in there, and you see that, so that was kind of spoiled, so it takes a little bit out of the fun out of it for me. And it's no secret with these types of films that sometimes you do have to suspend your disbelief with these movies. A good example of that is Scream 6, which one of my favorite franchises, and even that, Scream 6, where Chad, who's played by Mason Gooding, he gets stabbed so many times brutally, and the guy ends up surviving. Sorry, spoilers if you guys haven't seen Scream 6, but he ends up surviving, and you're just kind of sitting there going, yeah, he's a big dude, but yeah, everyone would die from the amount of wounds that he got, not only from that film, but from part 5 as well. So there is and it's pretty much right when the film opens up, you get introduced, well, after the initial opening kill. After that, you see all these news articles, people talking about the Hard Eyes killer being all over the country. Now, you would think where a killer is this well known all over the country, and this has been happening for years, that as soon as that killer pops up in a new location, you would think that they would send the FBI, they would send all kinds of cops to stop this person. And so that was something that I was able to let it slide, but I did roll my eyes a little bit, just saying like, that seems a little, I'm having a hard time believing that would be the case. And like I said, this is a horror comedy, and there were a good amount of jokes that did work for me, but there were also some times where things went a little bit too far and things got a little bit too cheesy, and they definitely do that on purpose. But for me, at least personally, there was a couple times where I was kind of sitting there rolling my eyes a little bit, being like, okay, come on now. And then I will say the final act of the film, especially where you get the killer reveal, was just a little disappointing for me. Just the way that I think that it was done, I don't know, the way that whole scene kind of played out, wasn't a huge fan of that. So that was definitely kind of a bummer, because sometimes with those situations where you have a reveal like that, if that doesn't work, that can really hurt the film sometimes. But I would say overall, I still did have a good time at the theaters watching it. I would say it is fun to go check out for Valentine's Day. Definitely recommend it. It's just something that I don't personally see myself probably picking up later and then watching it over and over and over again. Maybe I'll have to give it another try, but at least my first impression, I'm going to give this thing a 6.8 out of 10. So, did you guys get a chance to watch Hard Eyes? What are your guys' thoughts about the film? I'm definitely curious, because I feel like a lot of people are really enjoying this film, and that's great. If you guys loved it, I am so happy for you. I feel like I'm probably in the minority here, and that's totally fine. Like I said, maybe I'll have to give it another chance. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below in the comments, and what are some of your guys' favorite holiday slashers? Obviously, we have the classics like Halloween and things like that, but let me know what some of your favorites are. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up, and as always guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.